Okay, first of all, thank you to you, Mr. Ambassador, to invite us to your home here in Herzilya. And this is a big day. Some changes in the United States that are just being announced and all of that kind of stuff. But we're here to talk to you about a very important thing, which is moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Let's start with policy.
Sure.
Give us the official policy, and then I want to delve deeper into that.
The president made the decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to move the embassy, primarily because he looks to advance a foreign policy that's based upon reality, based upon the truth. You've been to Jerusalem many times, so have I. We all know that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. It's the capital of Israel today, and it was the capital of Israel 3,000 years ago when King David united the kingdoms of Israel and Judah and created a unified capital. So the president is a big believer in the truth.
Okay.
And his policies, his actions have all been driven off of the truth. And that's the policy. Now, he also made a promise to the American people that he would do this, and I think you'll agree with me. In contrast to many of his predecessors, he takes his promises seriously, and he's delivered already on many of them. And I think that apart from all that, the recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel has been the policy of the United States for more than 20 years. I think it was just 7 or 8 months ago that the United States Senate reiterated that recognition by a vote of like 91 to nothing. So, this is, I think, straight down the fairway in terms of American policy, and the president had the courage to actualize it.
I had the opportunity with Mike Huckabee to be in Israel when President Trump came to Israel on his first foreign trip and came here, and that was a big event, big days.
The thing that we're celebrating is the fact that Israel and the United States are forming a unity, and I pray that that unity is being formed by God.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, I look forward to working closely with both of you during my stay. We love Israel. We respect Israel. And I send your people the warmest greetings from your friend and ally, all of the people in the United States of America. We are with you. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Mr. President, over the years, Israel has had many friends, but Israel has never had and will never have a better friend than the United States of America.
Israel is a testament to the unbreakable spirit of the Jewish people. From all parts of this great country, one message resounds, and that is the message of hope. Down through the ages, the Jewish people have suffered persecution, oppression, and even those who have sought their destruction. But through it all, they have endured, and in fact, they have thrived. I stand in awe of the accomplishments of the Jewish people, and I make this promise to you: my administration will always stand with Israel.
I was present when he was making the joint statement with Netanyahu, and we were all kind of expecting the announcement then. Do you have any idea why we didn't get that announcement then? I mean, as opposed to kind of now? Do you know or speculate?
Look, I think that when the president came into office, all the great minds, all the elite foreign policy experts were weighing in. As I think he's noted, there was tremendous pressure on him not to make this announcement. And so I think he wanted to act deliberatively and carefully. And, he took his time studying this. Nonetheless, he came to his decision, inside the first year of his presidency. But I think he wanted to be thoughtful and careful. And that's why it took 10 months instead of, a few less months.
We're still in the policy side of this, and you're the American ambassador to Israel. You could have been, let's say, super pushing this, or you could have been one with your hand or your foot on the brake. Where were you in this?
Oh, well, to the extent my opinion was sought, I was very much with my foot on the gas.
Okay.
And I was privileged to have had the opportunity to provide the president with my thinking. He sought my advice, along with the advice of many others. I think he sought the thinking of the best minds, the best thinkers on the subject. But I was included, and I was very much in support of the decision.
So I feel like I remember one of the president's statements at that time when he was here in Israel, that let's let a little time, let's let this two-state solution, have a little bit of time. Is that reality or not reality?
I think it's too soon to pass judgment, and the discussions are ongoing. What is a reality is that the president came to the view that this decision was important to the ultimate peace process, that the ability of the Palestinians to have a veto, if you will, on the recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel needed to be taken off the table. And he did. And I think that will ultimately be viewed from a historical perspective as very important to the stability of the region.
Got it. Personally, Ambassador Friedman, from your own perspective, give me your personal view on the importance of this move.
Well, I have, long before I was an ambassador, I was a frequent visitor to Israel, in the realm of, maybe 75 to 100 visits.
You and me both. Since 1975, I've been coming.
I got you beat. I had my bar mitzvah at the Western Wall in 1971.
Excellent.
And so it has deep emotional significance to me. I'm the son of a rabbi. At the same time, look, we have a First Amendment in this country. We don't establish a religion. We don't make decisions on the basis of religious beliefs. But at the same time, you pull out a dollar bill or a quarter, it says, "In God we trust." Yep. The faith in God is infused in our society, and I could not help. I think you'd have to sort of be unconscious not to sense the deep historical, biblical significance of this decision.
Jerusalem being the capital of Israel, and us, the United States of America, kind of putting our foot there means you're going to have a bit of a move. You have a beautiful view here to the ocean, and does that mean you're going to have a residence in Jerusalem, or are you going to commute, or how's that going to work?
Well, we're going to have to come up with a transition plan. We have a very large operation at the embassy in Tel Aviv, and to move everybody to Jerusalem will take some amount of years. So we're going to open up the embassy in May, and we're going to move an office there for myself and a staff, and we'll continue to transition and grow over time until we have the major structure either purchased or created. In the interim, as I've done in the past, as I've already been doing, I'll go back and forth. I have an apartment the State Department provides for me in Jerusalem, so I have a place to hang my hat there. This is a magnificent setting, as you can see, but as beautiful as it is, it's not as beautiful as Jerusalem. So we'll make that transition.
We found a very interesting fact when we were preparing for this interview, and that Ronald Reagan was the first American president since George Washington to visit a synagogue. You happen to be there, and kind of walk us through what that was like for you.
So this was in October of 1984, a month before.
It's actually on my birthday, October 26th.
Right,
Yeah.
That's right. That was about 2 weeks before his second election for president, which was the last time, by the way, a Republican carried the state of New York.
Wow.
And my father was a prominent rabbi, and President Reagan was anxious to do some outreach to the Jewish community, and he went and spoke at my father's synagogue, and he had lunch.
Ladies and gentlemen, the president and I are now going for lunch.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
And I was privileged to be there with my wife, who was 8.5 or 8 and 3 weeks pregnant with our first child, and the rest of my family, and it was an unforgettable experience.
Wow. You'd have been a young man in your late 20s, I suppose.
I was 26.
Yeah.
Evangelicals are very interested in support for Israel.
Yes.
It's something near and dear to your heart. You've campaigned on it. You're the first American president to ever go as a sitting president to the Western Wall. Ambassador Friedman recently indicated that the embassy will be moved to Jerusalem. Do we have a time frame? Or
Well, we're going to make a decision in the not too distant future.
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. I've judged this course of action to be in the best interests of the United States of America and the pursuit of peace between Israel and the Palestinians. This is a long overdue step to advance the peace process and to work towards a lasting agreement. Israel is a sovereign nation with the right, like every other sovereign nation, to determine its own capital. Acknowledging this is a fact is a necessary condition for achieving peace. It was 70 years ago that the United States under President Truman recognized the State of Israel. Ever since then, Israel has made its capital in the city of Jerusalem, the capital the Jewish people established in ancient times. My announcement today marks the beginning of a new approach to conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. In 1995, Congress adopted the Jerusalem Embassy Act, urging the federal government to relocate the American embassy to Jerusalem and to recognize that that city, and so importantly, is Israel's capital. This act passed Congress by an overwhelming bipartisan majority and was reaffirmed by a unanimous vote of the Senate only 6 months ago. Yet for over 20 years, every previous American president has exercised the law's waiver, refusing to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem or to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital city. Presidents issued these waivers under the belief that delaying the recognition of Jerusalem would advance the cause of peace. Some say they lacked courage, but they made their best judgments based on facts as they understood them at the time. Nevertheless, the record is in. After more than 2 decades of waivers, we are no closer to a lasting peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. It would be folly to assume that repeating the exact same formula would now produce a different or better result.
This is a historic day. Jerusalem has been the capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years. It's been the capital of Israel for nearly 70 years. It was here that our temple stood, our kings ruled, our prophets preached. Jerusalem has been the focus of our hopes, our dreams, our prayers for 3 millennia. From every corner of the earth, our people yearn to return to Jerusalem, to touch its golden stones, to walk its hallowed streets. So it's rare to be able to speak of new and genuine milestones in the glorious history of this city. Yet today's pronouncement by President Trump is such an occasion. We're profoundly grateful for the President for his courageous and just decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to prepare for the opening of the U.S. Embassy here. This decision reflects the President's commitment to an ancient but enduring truth, to fulfilling his promises, and to advancing peace. The President's decision is an important step towards peace, for there is no peace that doesn't include Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Israel. I call on all countries that seek peace to join the United States in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to move their embassies here. I share President Trump's commitment to advancing peace between Israel and all of our neighbors, including the Palestinians. This has been our goal from Israel's first day, and we will continue to work with the President and his team to make that dream of peace come true. I also want to make clear there will be no change whatsoever to the status quo at the holy sites. Israel will always ensure freedom of worship for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. President Trump, thank you for today's historic decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The Jewish people and the Jewish state will be forever grateful.
Our audience is an audience of faith. They you know, the whole "in God we trust" thing. That's who you're talking about. You're talking to the most friendly audience you've ever talked to on TV, I assure you. Mm-hmm. We have been bringing tours. Trinity Broadcasting. We just said goodbye, and the 7-4s just took off with 2,000 tour members that were just here. We toured the entire country for 10 days, and so this is family to you. You know, there is no better friend to Israel than evangelicals, and we're here. We do a lot of content here. We have a studio in Jerusalem, which we'll invite you sometime to. If you could, though, explain the importance of this. Some people might tune in and not know the importance, I mean, from every level, for the United States to stamp Jerusalem with this move of the embassy, and you're the sitting ambassador. This means it's you doing this. What a significant time. I mean, we just celebrated the 50th Jubilee year of the reunification of Jerusalem. This is the 70th year. It's a really kind of a big deal. I could certainly just sit here and say that. I'd like for you to help explain that to our audience.
Sure. And let me just add, it's the double Jubilee year of the Balfour Declaration.
There you go.
Right.
That's
so
right.
there's something happening here. There's no question. There's something happening here. Yeah. Well, look. Jerusalem is the center of your faith, and it's the center of my faith.
Judean Christian value.
Yeah, 100%. I frequently pray at the Western Wall. I had the privilege of accompanying some senior government officials to the inner sanctum, if you will, of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and stood there at the tomb from which Jesus ascended. And I don't go there as often as the Western Wall, but you could feel just the power of this incredible city. It's only 1 square kilometer, the entire old city of Jerusalem, but there's such power there, such spirituality. Look, Jerusalem for thousands of years has not been hospitable to Christians or to Jews, and now it is. It's now hospitable to Christians, Jews, and Muslims. It's the first time, the past 50 years have probably been the only time in history where you can walk into the old city, pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, pray at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, pray at the Western Wall. The Israelis have done something miraculous that hasn't been done in thousands of years. And to be able to now recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, in terms of the United States, which is obviously the leader of the entire world, that recognition, I think, is a vindication of the incredible efforts the evangelical Christian community has made on behalf of the state of Israel. We tend to think of Israel as a Jewish state, and obviously it is a Jewish state, but the evangelical community is a full partner in the creation and the sustaining of the state of Israel with the Jewish people. I can tell you, as a member of the Jewish faith, I'll never forget the kindness that and the support I've had from the evangelical community, since I've been ambassador, and they should take great pride in the support that they've given to get to this point today. Without them, it wouldn't have gotten done.
Why does this matter? The term "it plays in Peoria." Why does this matter to the average person in America that this is happening and solidifying this move? Why does it matter?
I think that wherever you live, if you're faith-based, or even if you just admire those who practice a faith, you have to turn towards Jerusalem in your thoughts and prayers, because that's where all this spirituality comes from.
Yeah.
That's where it started, and it continues today. And so wherever you live, knowing that the United States is now standing behind Israel in recognizing Jerusalem as the capital is really saying that the United States stands behind Jerusalem as a free, open city to people of the Christian faith, Jewish faith, and Muslim faith, which is, as I said, a unique moment in history. This should matter to everybody.
Final thoughts. I have just a question that's just kind of interesting, and you seem to be willing to give your personal opinion. The Old Testament, if you read back in the Old Testament, there are stories, let's just pick one, a sea opening and people walking across on dry land. Did that actually happen, or are those stories?
So my personal beliefs, and they're just, I don't seek to impose them on anybody else. My personal beliefs is that the Bible is truth. Whether it's the Red Sea splitting, or Abraham's covenant with God on Mount Moriah, or Jacob's dream in Beit El, or the creation of the tabernacle in Shiloh, or Jesus, his Last Supper in the old city of Jerusalem. I believe these things happened. I don't care if, or seek to impose I care if my children believe it, they're my children, but beyond my own family, everyone's free to view it the way they do. There are great lessons to be learned from the Bible, whether you view it literally or not, but my own personal views are, I believe in the Bible.
Have you ever scuba dived?
Yes.
Okay. If you and I put tanks on, could we find the place where the chariot wheels are still there? That really happened.
Well, it was a long time ago. I don't know how much sand may have covered over those things, but
they could be there.
They could be. I don't dwell on the scientific evidence. You could if you looked at if we were sitting here today and the world was created today, right? You'd see a tree. You'd slice up on the tree. You'd see annual rings, and you would say, "Hey, the world couldn't have been created today because, according to this tree, the world was created, a long time ago." So science is very important, incredibly important. I never want to minimize the importance of science. We all live about 2.5 times longer than we did 100 years ago because of science. But I don't dwell on scientific evidence for my religious beliefs.
And they are your beliefs?
They're my beliefs.
They're mine too.
Well, then
you got
have a lot in
scuba
common.
Tanks?
I scuba dived. I learned how to scuba dive in a great place.
Where?
It's called Ras Mohammed. It's south of Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. It was when the Sinai was still part of Israel.
Sure.
Magnificent, absolutely magnificent. I wish I could, haven't been there in a while. I hope I can get invited to go back there.
Kind of finally, there's, you mentioned that everyone should care that this move is happening, and we all do. I believe the audience understands and cares. Do you think there's an inherent blessing, kind of a la Genesis, that America is going to receive based upon this supportive move of the embassy?
So of course I can't prove that, but I do. I believe that God blesses those who bless Israel, and I think we are certainly as a nation blessing Israel by this decision. So certainly it's in my prayers that America is rewarded for this action.
Beautiful. And do you think tourism blesses Israel?
Tourism is going off the charts here. I mean, they keep setting records year after year. So as long as we can keep people safe, I think that will just continue.
That's awesome. Final thoughts on this historic time in Israel to our audience here on Trinity Broadcasting.
Come to Israel. There's a lot to see here. You're going to love it. You'll be transformed. You'll never be the same once you come to Israel. Come with this guy. He'll give you a great trip.
We just said goodbye to 2,000 people that just left, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It was
Appreciate
great.
it. Seriously, appreciate it.